The vastness of space had always called to me. As a child, I'd spend hours gazing at the night sky, wondering what secrets lay hidden among the stars. Now, as the lead scientist on NASA's groundbreaking mission to Proxima Centauri b, I was about to find out. If only I'd known the horror that awaited us. Our ship, the ISS Horizon, had been traveling for years through the cold emptiness of space. The crew of 12, a mix of scientists, engineers, and support staff, had become like family during our long journey. We'd left behind everything we knew, driven by the promise of discovery and the hope of finding a new home for humanity. As we approached Proxima Centauri b, excitement buzzed through the ship. Dr. Emily Chen, our exobiologist, couldn't stop grinning as she pored over the initial scans of the planet's surface. "John, you've got to see this," she called out to me, her eyes wide with wonder. "These readings, they're unlike anything we've ever seen before." I floated over to her station, my heart racing. The holographic display showed a landscape both alien and eerily familiar. Rolling hills of deep purple vegetation stretched out beneath twin moons, their surfaces scarred and cratered, but it was the structure in the center of the image that caught my attention. "Is that—" I couldn't finish the sentence, afraid to give voice to the impossible. Emily nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "It looks like a city, John, an alien city." The news spread through the ship like wildfire. Captain Sarah Rodriguez called an emergency meeting in the command center. As we gathered around the holotable, the enormity of our discovery began to sink in. "Ladies and gentlemen," Captain Rodriguez began, her voice steady despite the excitement in her eyes, "we came here hoping to find signs of life. It appears we found much more than that. We're looking at evidence of an advanced civilization." Dr. Michael Patel, our anthropologist, leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "But where are they? Why aren't we picking up any signs of current activity?" It was a question that would haunt us in the days to come. As we entered orbit around Proxima Centauri b, we began our preparations for planetfall. The anticipation was palpable as we donned our exosuits and boarded the lander. I remember the moment we touched down on the alien soil, the gentle thud reverberating through the ship. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comm system. "Horizon to ground team, status report." I took a deep breath, savoring the moment. "Ground team to Horizon. We've landed safely, preparing to disembark." As the airlock hissed open, we stepped out onto the surface of Proxima Centauri b. The alien sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape. The air was thin but breathable, tinged with an odd metallic scent. We made our way toward the alien structure, our footsteps muffled by the strange, spongy ground beneath us. As we drew closer, the true scale of the city became apparent. Towering spires of an unknown material stretched into the sky, their surfaces gleaming with an iridescent sheen. "It's beautiful," Emily whispered, her voice filled with awe. But as we entered the outskirts of the city, that sense of wonder quickly turned to unease. The streets were empty, devoid of any signs of life. It was as if the entire population had simply vanished. "Spread out," I ordered, trying to keep the tension from my voice. "Look for any clues about what happened here." As we explored the abandoned streets, a sense of dread began to creep over me. Something was wrong here, terribly wrong. Little did I know, our nightmare was just beginning. The alien city stretched out before us, a maze of towering structures and winding streets. As we ventured deeper into its heart, the silence became oppressive. Our footsteps echoed off the strange metallic walls, each sound a stark reminder of our isolation. Dr. Chen was the first to spot it. "John, over here," she called out, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and fear. I rushed to her side, my breath catching in my throat as I saw what had captured her attention. There, sprawled in the middle of what appeared to be a town square, was the body of an alien. The creature was humanoid in shape, but that's where the similarities ended. Its skin was a pale, translucent blue, with intricate patterns swirling beneath the surface. 6 elongated fingers adorned each hand, and a crest of feather-like appendages crowned its head. But it was the eyes that haunted me, large, almond-shaped, and completely black. They stared sightlessly at the alien sky, frozen in an expression of, what? Fear? Surprise? I couldn't tell. "Is it dead?" whispered Michael, our anthropologist, as he knelt beside the body. Emily ran her scanner over the alien's form, her brow furrowed in concentration. "That's the thing," she said, her voice filled with confusion. "According to these readings, it's in perfect condition, no decay, no signs of injury or illness. It's as if it just stopped," I finished for her, a chill running down my spine. As we continued our exploration, we found more bodies. They were everywhere, in the streets, in buildings, even in what appeared to be vehicles, all in the same pristine condition, all frozen in the midst of their daily lives. "It's like a snapshot in time," Sarah mused, her captain's composure slipping for a moment. "What could have done this?" We set up a base camp in what we assumed was a central administrative building. As night fell, the alien moons cast an eerie glow over the city. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, even though we'd seen no signs of life. That night, as I lay in my sleeping pod, I heard it for the first time. A soft whisper, just on the edge of hearing. I sat up, heart pounding, but the sound was gone. Convincing myself it was just the wind, I drifted into an uneasy sleep. The next morning, we continued our investigation. Emily and Michael focused on studying the alien bodies, while Sarah and I explored more of the city. It was as we entered a large, dome-shaped building that we made our second shocking discovery. The interior of the dome was filled with strange, pulsating orbs of energy. They hovered in the air, each one a swirling mass of colors that seemed to shift and change as we watched. "What are they?" Sarah breathed, reaching out a hand towards the nearest orb. "Wait!" I cried, but it was too late. As her fingers brushed the surface of the orb, a jolt of energy surged through her body. She stumbled back, gasping, "Sarah, are you all right?" I rushed to her side, my heart pounding. She nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. I'm fine. But John, I saw something. When I touched it, I saw them, the aliens. They were alive, John. They were screaming." As Sarah's words sank in, a cold dread settled in the pit of my stomach. What had happened here? And more importantly, what had we just stumbled into? Little did we know our contact with the orb had set in motion a chain of events that would push us to the very limits of sanity and survival. The days that followed our discovery of the energy orbs were filled with a feverish intensity. We threw ourselves into our research, desperate to understand what had happened to the alien civilization and what connection the orbs had to their fate. Emily and Michael continued their study of the alien bodies, while Sarah and I focused on the orbs. We quickly learned that direct contact with the orbs was dangerous. Each touch seemed to drain a little of our life force, leaving us feeling weak and disoriented. It was on the 5th day that we noticed the first changes. I was reviewing some data when I caught my reflection in a polished surface. For a moment, I didn't recognize the face staring back at me. My skin seemed older somehow, more lined. I shook my head, convinced it was just stress and lack of sleep playing tricks on my mind. But then I noticed the same changes in the others. Sarah's hair, once a rich brown, was now streaked with grey. Michael's hands shook slightly as he worked, his fingers gnarled like those of a much older man. "What's happening to us?" Emily's voice was filled with fear as we gathered for our daily briefing. I tried to keep my voice steady, to be the leader they needed. "I don't know, but we'll figure it out. We need to focus on our work, on finding answers." But even as I spoke, I could feel the changes accelerating. My joints ached. My vision blurred. It was as if our bodies were rebelling against us, aging at an impossible rate. That night, the whispers came again. This time, I wasn't the only one who heard them. We huddled together in the command center, listening to the alien voices that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "They're in pain," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide and haunted. "Can't you hear it? They're screaming for help." As the night wore on, The whispers grew louder, more insistent. Images flashed through my mind, alien faces contorted in agony, a great darkness sweeping across the planet, the orbs pulsing with malevolent energy. By morning, we were all changed. Our bodies had aged years in a single night. Emily's once vibrant red hair had turned white, her skin papery and thin. Michael could barely stand, his legs weak and trembling. "We need to leave," I said, my voice cracking with age and fear. "Whatever's happening here, it's killing us." But as we made our way back to the lander, we discovered a horrifying truth. The ship wouldn't respond to our commands. It was as if the very technology we relied on had turned against us. "We're trapped," Sarah said, her voice a mere whisper of its former strength. As the alien sun rose over the city, casting long shadows across the empty streets, I realized the true nature of our predicament. We hadn't discovered an abandoned alien civilization. We had become part of it. The orbs pulsed in the distance, their energy a siren call we couldn't resist. And in the back of my mind, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They were no longer just sounds. They were becoming thoughts, memories, personalities pushing against the boundaries of my own consciousness. We were running out of time. But the question remained. Time until what? As our bodies continued to age at an alarming rate, our minds began to fracture under the strain of the alien presence. The whispers had become a constant cacophony, a maddening chorus of alien thoughts and emotions that threatened to drown out our own. It was Emily who first realized the truth. "They're not just voices," she said, her once young face now wrinkled and gaunt. "They're people. The aliens. Their consciousness. Their souls. Whatever you want to call it. They're trapped in those orbs." The revelation hit us like a physical blow. We weren't just exploring an abandoned alien city. We were walking through a massive tomb, surrounded by the imprisoned minds of an entire civilization. But why? What could have caused this? And more importantly, what was it doing to us? As we huddled in the alien structure we'd made our base, our bodies failing us more with each passing hour, we pieced together the horrifying truth. The entity, as we came to call it, was ancient beyond comprehension. It existed in the spaces between stars, feeding on the life force of entire civilizations. The aliens of Proxima Centauri b had encountered it during their own explorations of space, unknowingly bringing it back to their homeworld. The entity couldn't interact with physical matter directly. Instead, it used the orbs as a conduit, a way to trap the consciousness of its victims while it slowly drained their life force. The bodies we'd found weren't dead. They were empty shells, their minds imprisoned in the pulsing orbs that filled the city. And now, it had found new prey. Us. "We need to destroy the orbs," Michael said, his voice weak but determined. "It's the only way to stop this thing." But even as he spoke, I could see the conflict in his eyes. Destroying the orbs meant destroying the trapped alien consciousness, committing genocide to save ourselves. The debate raged, both within our group and within our own minds. The alien thoughts pushed against our own, their fear and desperation bleeding into our consciousness. They didn't want to die, not again. As we argued, our bodies continued to deteriorate. Sarah, our strong captain, could now barely lift her head. Emily's breath came in ragged gasps. As we approached the orbs, the air itself seemed to thicken, pushing against us. Strange, shadowy forms flickered at the edges of our vision, the entity trying to manifest, to stop us. "Now!" I shouted, my voice cracking with the effort. "Destroy them now!" We threw ourselves at the orbs, using whatever tools we had left. The moment we made contact, the world exploded into chaos. The instant our makeshift weapons struck the orbs, a surge of energy unlike anything I'd ever experienced ripped through the dome. The air crackled with electricity, and a high-pitched wail filled our ears, the death cry of 1,000 alien minds. I was thrown back, my aged body slamming against the cold, alien floor. Through blurred vision, I saw the orbs pulsing frantically, their colors shifting and swirling at an impossible speed. Cracks appeared on their surfaces, spreading like spider webs, and then they shattered. The explosion of light and sound was overwhelming. I felt as if my very soul was being torn apart. Alien memories flooded my mind, lifetimes of joy, sorrow, love, and fear, all experienced in the span of a heartbeat. I saw the rise of the alien civilization, their first steps into space, their fateful encounter with the entity. I felt their terror as they realized what was happening, their desperation as they tried to fight back, and finally, their despair as they were trapped, consciousness ripped from body, imprisoned in the orbs. And beneath it all, I felt the entity, ancient, hungry, and now enraged. As the light faded and the sound died away, I found myself lying on the floor of the dome, gasping for breath. The others were scattered around me, unmoving. For a terrifying moment, I thought they were dead. But then Sarah stirred, then Emily, then Michael. We looked at each other in shock and confusion. The rapid aging had stopped. We were still older than when we'd landed on this cursed planet, but no longer on the brink of death. Is it over?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. Before anyone could answer, a deep, bone-shaking rumble filled the air. The ground beneath us shuddered, and in the distance, we could hear the sound of buildings collapsing. "The city," Michael gasped. "It's falling apart." We scrambled to our feet, our bodies protesting but no longer failing us. As we raced through the crumbling alien streets, I realized the horrible truth. The entity hadn't been destroyed. It had been released. Without the orbs to contain it, the entity was free to manifest fully in our reality, and it was angry. The sky above us darkened, not with clouds, but with something far more sinister, a writhing mass of darkness, shot through with flashes of sickly green energy, was spreading across the horizon. Where it touched, matter simply ceased to exist, consumed by the entity's hunger. We reached our lander, praying that whatever had been blocking our systems was gone. To our relief, the ship hummed to life as we scrambled inside. As we lifted off from the surface of Proxima Centauri b, the full scale of the destruction became apparent. The alien city was collapsing in on itself, great fissures opening in the ground, swallowing entire districts whole, and above it all, the entity swirled and pulsed, a nightmare given form. "My God," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with horror. "What have we done?" I had no answer for her. We had come to this planet seeking knowledge, hoping to unlock the secrets of the universe. Instead, we had unleashed something beyond our comprehension, a force that threatened not just this world, but potentially all of existence. As our ship broke through the planet's atmosphere, I felt a moment of hope. Perhaps we could escape, warn Earth about what we had found here, but that hope was short-lived. The entity, no longer bound by the constraints of physical form, was spreading faster than we could fly. It engulfed the planet below us, turning the once beautiful world into a roiling mass of darkness, and it wasn't stopping there. "It's following us," Michael shouted, pointing at the navigation screen. The dark mass was indeed pursuing our ship, reaching out with tendrils of void that seemed to bend the very fabric of space. We pushed the engines to their limits, praying for a miracle. But deep down, I knew it was futile. We had unleashed something that had been imprisoned for eons, and now it was free to continue its cosmic feast. As the entity closed in on our ship, I closed my eyes, bracing for the end. But instead of oblivion, I felt a presence. The alien minds we had inadvertently freed were with us, their consciousness somehow merged with ours in these final moments. They showed us visions of their past, of other civilizations that had fallen to the entity. But they also showed us something else, a glimpse of hope, a potential way to fight back. It would require sacrifice, but it might be the only way to save not just ourselves, but countless other worlds from the entity's hunger. With newfound determination, I opened my eyes and turned to my crew. "We have one last mission," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "We can't outrun this thing, but maybe we can stop it." As I explained the plan the aliens had shared with us, I saw the fear in my companions' eyes slowly give way to resolve. We were scientists, explorers. We had come to Proxima Centauri b prepared to give our lives in the pursuit of knowledge. Now we would give them to save the universe. We turned our ship around, flying directly into the heart of the entity. As the darkness engulfed us, we activated the experimental drive that had brought us across the light years. But this time, we overloaded it, creating a rupture in space-time itself. The ship shuddered, alarms blaring as the hull began to buckle. Through the viewscreen, I saw the entity's form contort. Caught in the gravitational pull of the anomaly we had created, it fought against the pull, but even its immense power was no match for the forces we had unleashed. As our ship was torn apart around us, I felt a sense of peace. We had not died in vain. The entity was being drawn into the rift, trapped once more between dimensions. It might not be destroyed, but it would be contained, unable to threaten any other worlds. In our final moments, as the light of 1,000 suns blazed around us, I saw the grateful faces of the aliens whose minds we had freed. They were at peace now, their long imprisonment finally at an end. And then there was nothing but light. I don't know how long I floated in the void. Time had no meaning in that place between places, but slowly, gradually, I became aware of myself again, of my thoughts, my memories, my identity. I opened my eyes, or at least I thought I did, and found myself in a featureless white expanse. Was this death, the afterlife, or something else entirely? John. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, familiar yet impossibly alien. John, can you hear us? I tried to speak, but no sound came out. Instead, I thought my response, yes, who are you? Where am I? The whiteness around me shimmered, and suddenly I was surrounded by figures. Some were human, my crew, I realized with a jolt. Others were the aliens of Proxima Centauri b, their translucent forms shimmering with an inner light. We are here, the voice said, and I realized it was all of them speaking as one. In the moment of our sacrifice, our consciousness merged. We exist now in the space between spaces, watching over the barrier that contains the entity. The truth of our situation slowly sank in. We hadn't died. Not in the traditional sense. Instead, we had become something in the other, guardians of a cosmic prison, our merged consciousness the key that kept the entity contained. How long? I asked, though I feared the answer. Time has no meaning here, they responded. But in the realm we once called home, eons have passed. Civilizations have risen and fallen. The Earth you knew is long gone. The news should have devastated me. But in this state, I felt only a detached sadness. My old life, everyone I had ever known, was dust. But we had succeeded. The entity remained trapped, the universe safe from its hunger. Is this our eternity then? I asked. To remain here, forever vigilant. The collective consciousness was silent for a moment before responding. Not forever. Nothing is forever. One day, we will fade, and new guardians will need to take our place. But that day is far distant. For now, we watch. We remember. We endure. As the words faded, I felt myself expanding, my individual consciousness merging more fully with the collective. I saw the vast expanse of the universe, the birth and death of stars, the intricate dance of galaxies, and at the edges of it all, I felt the entity straining against its prison, held at bay by our combined will. In that moment, I understood the true magnitude of what we had done. Our mission to Proxima Centauri b had not been a failure, but the most important success in human history. We had saved not just Earth, not just our galaxy, but all of existence, and so we remain silent sentinels at the edge of reality, watching, waiting, protecting. The lost crew of the ISS Horizon, the last survivors of Proxima Centauri b, united in death as we never were in life, but sometimes, in the depths of space, in the quiet moments between stellar births, I swear I can hear a whisper, a voice carried across the cosmic winds, speaking of a long-ago mission, of a terrible discovery, of a sacrifice beyond imagining. It is our story, it is my story, and as long as the stars still shine, it will be told. For we are the guardians of the abyss, the last line of defense against the hunger between worlds, and we will never, ever let go.